At number 56 on the Iconic 100 is the 2018 Prizm Luka Doncic rookie card. And here to talk about it today is Exquisite Sports Collectibles on Instagram, Jameson Long. Jameson, I'm really interested to get your take because you're not usually the sort of guy who I think about as like a shiny card guy, but I don't think there's any denying this is definitely one of the most iconic basketball cards, especially in recent history, right?
Oh, definitely. I mean, over the course of the last year or so, I mean, there's probably not a more transacted card in the hobby than Luka and the Prizm and the various parallels that come out of it. And I think one thing, you talked about, not used to a card like this, but I think one of the cool things about Prizm is they do have various parallels. So you really can touch all spectrums of the hobby with the Prizm brand, right? So for someone like me that might not necessarily collect a lot of the base cards, it is a cool card because it is something I can get. I have two young boys, so if their favorite player, and one of them loves Luka, favorite player Steph, second favorite player is Luka. If he wants one, it's a very affordable card to get a starting collector going, and gives them a piece of history, because it is a special card. As you can see by where it's placed on your list, I mean, people still do recognize the card as iconic. And then as you build up from there, as you go up to things like, the blue, which has the jersey match, which got real popular. It's come back down a little bit. It's still a great looking card. So if you're in that mid range, if you got deep pockets, and you want to start going toward like something like the Mojo or even the gold, and if you go to the black, you're talking about probably a multi-million-dollar card. So It really does touch every spectrum of the collecting space. But I think people a lot of times when you think Prizm, you get fixated on the base card and you get fixated on the silver, which I mean, there's a lot of them out there. There's nothing to hide there, but that's okay. That means everyone has the opportunity to have one in their collection, and they don't have to worry about, mortgaging in the future on getting one of those cards. And so I think that aspect of the hobby where we can get kids back into it and they can own it, and me and my son can both own the same card and bond over something like that. I think that's a cool experience for the collector.
Great answer. I think that one of the things that this list highlights to me is that just because something is valuable doesn't make it iconic. And just because something's iconic doesn't make it valuable, right? And so the base Luka card has really seen this roller coaster, right? In terms of values, been up and down and all over the place. But regardless of whether that card goes to nothing or goes through the moon, it is iconic. It brought an entire generation of people into collecting. And I think, I think that's what we're getting at with this list is the card iconic? Is it important? And, I think you can make the case, as you just did, by the way, by saying like how often it's transacted and things. I think you can make the case that this is really one of the most important cards over the last few years, for sure.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it's definitely up there. And I think when we filled out the list and you sent it to me, I think I responded back to you. It was funny that some of the most expensive cards, I didn't view them as some of the most iconic, and some of the cheapest cards, I think just because, whether it was some older baseball stuff that brought back nostalgia of when I was collecting when I was a kid, or even some of the stuff like this Luka and, the Giannis was on the list, earlier on. It just, because everyone feels like they can own that card, I think that means something, because yes, there is some aspect of rare, desirable, I want to have it, but it's out of my reach, which makes something iconic. But then there's also the aspect of, wow, I can actually own this card, so it's special to me, which makes it iconic, right? So it's cool when you're filling out your list and like, you have $1 million card, and then the next card you have is a $10 card. You know what I mean? Because they're both iconic, just in different ways. So,
yeah, I like how when you take the masses and you say, not just masses, but people who are really like who know cards and who have been around cards for a long time, and you say what is iconic, and then you average it. The result that we have here is super interesting. So again, that's card number 56, the Prizm rookie card of Luka Doncic. Tomorrow we'll be back with card number 55. And until then, happy collecting.